Miss LSE and Mr LSE obviously took up a lot of the women's officer time. Do you think this much time should be taken up on it, and would you campaign for either or both next year if they both run again?
I would continue campaigns on both Miss LSE and Mr LSE because I think it was entirely right to campaign against them. But I also think it would be better to open up more debates so that more people are involved rather than two sides set against one another. I think it's quite an open and complex discussion that everyone should be involved in. And also I don't think it should be the main priority of the women's officer. I think there's lots of other broader campaigns to take part in that should also be a main priority.
Well, Mr LSE wasn't campaigned against at all this year. Do you think that was an oversight on the part of the women's officer?
I don't think it was a direct challenge to equality. I think it was an idea that was opened up in jest, but I do think it was mocking of the campaigns against Miss LSE. So I think it wouldn't necessarily be campaigns against it in protest and stuff like that, but I think talking to the people who arranged it and discussing ways in which it can be arranged in a way that doesn't seem to be mocking women's struggles.
Why are so many sabbatical candidates in this race men? Does that show our union is heavily masculine?
I don't think it's a particular reflection on our union alone. I think in lots of structures there's men at the top, in most in fact. I think if you were to look at other universities you'd see the same things again and again. I think it's the way things are set up that often women don't feel obliged to take part, and I think they also often drop out from races. I don't know why this would be, but I think that could be looked into in terms of how people run their races and how whether people are feeling that they need to drop out for any particular reason. But I wouldn't say against the SABs that they shouldn't run. Obviously everyone's welcome to run, but we need to attract more women to do so.
Over the past couple of weeks, pro-life stalls appeared on Houghton Street. Would you consider that part of your role to be engaging with these people or arguing against them?
I was out on Houghton Street handing out pro-choice leaflets when they were there, and I think that's the right way to approach it really, because we've been told that it's freedom of speech for them to be there. I would challenge that slightly, because I think if there was racists on Houghton Street we wouldn't accept that, and it is upsetting to people, it is directly offensive to people that they're there. But I think the way we handled it was good, that we offered people the opposite side of the debate and the side of the debate that the LSE Students' Union supports.
There's been some talk of a men's officer. Do you think this is all just a joke, or do you think a men's officer has a place within the Students' Union?
I don't think it's my place as women's officer to comment on that. I think it's quite said in a mocking way often. The way it's posed isn't in seriousness that I want a men's officer, I don't feel represented. It's said as there's no point in a women's officer if a man's officer doesn't exist. So I think it's offensive for us to be asked in our position what we think of a man's officer, because we're not supporting that idea at all.
All right,
Thank you very much.
So this is Michael Locke, and he's running for International Students Officer. If you wouldn't mind saying a few words to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey,